Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. So, Manchester United have released a statement on Mason Greenwood's current situation. Although, I've got to say, it doesn't really clarify anything. And it does feel like they are kind of softening up the situation before they announce his return to the team. But we'll get stuck into the Mason Greenwood statement from Manchester United, as well as an article from The Athletic, which this seems to be in response to from the club. Now, I haven't spoken about this situation for obvious reasons. It's a sensitive subject, and it's not one that we need to kind of be, it's not a transfer rumour. It's not something that we need to gossip and debate about, I don't think. But Manchester United have obviously been trying to deal with this situation, and I think they've been dealing with it quite badly over the last couple of weeks, particularly with briefs and all sorts of nonsense being leaked to the press. But let's get stuck into the statement that they have officially released. Then we'll read that story from The Athletic and we'll try and dig into what exactly is going on. So the Manchester United statement from the communication department reads, following the dropping of all charges against Mason Greenwood in February 2023, Man United have conducted a thorough investigation into the allegations made against him. This has drawn on extensive evidence and context not in the public domain, and we have heard from numerous people with direct involvement or knowledge of the case. Throughout this process, the welfare and perspective of the alleged victim has been central to the club's inquiries, and we respect her right to lifelong anonymity. We also have responsibilities to Mason as an employee, as a young person who has been with the club since the age of 7, as a new father with a partner. The fact-finding phase of our investigation is now complete, and we're in the final stages of making a decision on Mason's future. Contrary to media speculation, that decision has not yet been made and is currently the subject of intensive internal deliberation. Responsibility ultimately rests with the CEO. Once made, the decision will be communicated and explained to the club's internal and external stakeholders. This has been a difficult case for everyone associated with Man United, and we understand the strong opinions it has provoked based on the partial evidence in the public domain. We ask for patience as we work through the final stages of this carefully considered process. Now, we heard just before that from The Athletic, from Adam Crafton, that Manchester United had told senior staff that Greenwood would return. So Manchester United's chief executive, Richard Arnold, told the club's executive leadership in the first week of August that United were planning to bring back Mason Greenwood. As part of that plan for Greenwood's reintegration with the men's first team, Arnold intended to record a video explaining the decision that would be shared both with staff and the general public. The proposed date for the announcement was Friday, August the 4th. The plan laid out by Arnold that week was that Greenwood would not make any appearances with the club's charitable arm, the Manchester United Foundation, in the short to medium term, even though the club would be bringing him back to the first team setup. However, United did not proceed with the announcement, and 12 days on, they are still to communicate any decision publicly, meaning elements of the plan could still change. Obviously, United seemingly bottling just making a decision. Hence, you see this statement come out, which kind of, I think, is softening the grounds for them to bring him back and make that decision. But you've got to say, if you're going to make a decision, just make it once and for all. Why are you kind of like bleeding things into the press really slowly? Last week we heard that the decision was going to be made, and then we heard a statement that they would be discussing things with Manchester United's women's players, and they had to wait for some to return from the World Cup. That led to some of those players receiving abuse online, and you're just thinking, what are Manchester United doing here? You're absolutely fumbling this whole situation when you just need to deal with it professionally and deal with it accordingly. Now, we know that if Mason Greenwood was a player that wasn't a very good footballer, I've said it many times, since Wayne Rooney, I haven't seen a teenager that is that good at football. And we know if he wasn't that good at football, Manchester United would have let him go ages ago, which kind of makes the decision a little bit farcical. Now, some people will say the charges were dropped, and Manchester United made that point in their statement, which is obviously true. But that doesn't necessarily mean there was no guilt there. Things can get dropped for various different reasons. The issue United have as well is that the evidence is in the public domain. And when people have seen that, they can't remove that from their memory just because legally he has been cleared of the charges. So it's a messy situation for Manchester United. And just the mere fact that that evidence is out there, or those pictures and videos and audio notes and all those kind of things are out there, means Manchester United probably had right to sack him anyway, regardless of whether, he was found guilty in court or not. The fact that those things were out there, he brought the club into disrepute. It was clear. This is based on a financial decision, clearly, for the club. They let him go. They potentially let a player, you look at the prices of players at the moment, a player go elsewhere and continue his football and be a great footballer for them. Manchester United don't want to see that happen. They don't want to let the player go. It's that simple. And it's clear that the decision is going to be made that he's going to be a Manchester United player. Now, that's clear. It's a decision based on the talents of the player. As we've said, if he wasn't that good, would that decision have been made? I don't think so. And Manchester United at the moment just everything they do, they seem to just fumble. They can't deal with it properly. It's obviously a sensitive situation. It's a difficult situation for them to deal with. But you've got to deal with it accordingly. And leaking things about the women's team, that's not right. Leaking other various things. And then they've gone to make a decision. Then they've bottled that decision when trying to make it. So it's clear that they think there's an issue with the decision they're going to make. Which brings to question as to why they're going to make it. But again, you go back to that. And you've seen in football with various different things. Clubs have had players do racist stuff. And because they've been great players, they've brought them back into the fold. And it's the same with this situation. Because he's so good, he will be brought back into the fold. And that's not right, is it? But nevertheless, it looks like that decision is going to be made. When it's going to be made, I don't know, because Manchester United have just kicked it further down the path, really, haven't they, with that statement. Especially odd when you look at the story that's coming from Adam Crafton and coming from The Athletic as well, that they were going to bring him back then and then didn't. The female fans against Greenwood's return, who is a supporters club who has protested against the decision or the potential decision that's been rumoured to be made, have released a few tweets as well, saying another non-statement, but the phrasing of which points at the direction of the decision. Heavy on their responsibilities to Mason Greenwood, not a mention of their responsibilities to fans, employees, other professionals. Heavy on the quoted partial evidence. We know they're preparing the ground for a return. Quotations, a young person who has been with us since age 7. Another quote, a father with a partner. No mention of a grown man with full responsibility and accountability for his own despicable actions. This is coming from the female fans against Greenwood's return, who have looked at that statement, and it kind of, I agree, I think they're just softening the grounds, especially when you see quotes such as that, a father with a partner, a young person who has been with us since age 7. I think, and look, some may say the club have a responsibility to help him through his rehabilitation and whatnot, but you're in a privileged position as Manchester United player. What kind of message does that send to other young players? Or the fans of the club or whoever? It's not a great message to be sending out to the academy, especially when you look at the high standards that Manchester United expect of their players in their academy. But anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comments. See you in a bit.